Good, how
Fine.
are you, Craig?
Keep his picture off of there.
That's what I figured. That would be safest. I don't want to scare the crowd.
Well, then stay off.
Okay, we are live on YouTube.
Thank you. Are you ready for us?
I am. Yes.
Okay, great. I want to make sure you're all 100% ready. I don't want you to stop me in the middle. Okay, I'm going to call the executive park meeting to order. First order of business is to resolution to accept the minutes as mailed for the August meeting.
Would you like me to take
Motion?
attendance?
Sure, why not?
Okay. Brian Campbell,
Sure.
Dan Bruno.
Here.
Dave O'Brien
I guess he's here.
and Craig Leggett just walked in.
Yeah.
So we have a quorum. We have
Good.
4 to 5.
Good. Okay. So I need a motion to accept the minutes of the last meeting. So moved.
So
I
moved.
have a move by Brian, second by, who seconded it?
I did.
Dan Bruno. Any omissions, corrections? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Airport Industrial Park. Any potential project updates? The only way we'll talk about more is New Leaf. We'll talk about that. In there. So basically, Chuck, you want to run down on the New Leaf?
Sure. So as I think everyone's aware, New Leaf has approached us and expressed interest in about 20 acres or so of property at the Airport Industrial Park. The interesting element in this opportunity is that they're interested in wetland property, which would be opportunity for us to lease some land that we normally can't do anything with. They are currently, we have met with Terrence Nolan, and he is looking at some of the details associated with the site itself and the proximity to connecting with three-phase power. We're expecting them to get back to us soon. He did send us a proposal, and we countered with some increase in certain rates that he was suggesting. We have not heard back from him. So right now we're in the process of waiting for a response back, and hopefully the process will continue with New Leaf.
The one thing they've sent us is and I think it's been signed out to, is a non-binding letter of intent. They need the non-binding letter of intent to go forward to make sure they can get space on the substation, reserve space on the substation. So Kara, I have a legal question for you. If it's a non-binding letter of intent, and the proposal and the contract will come in, I think it's 3 or 4 weeks after that.
Mm-hmm.
Does that require board approval, or can the executive committee authorize me to sign it? And since it's just a letter of intent and it's non-binding.
I mean, I think you would still want board approval for that to enter into it, because that starts the negotiation phase of that agreement. So the concept should be approved by the board.
Okay. No problem. Just checking. Any other questions about New Leaf?
Chairman, do you need a motion on that at this time?
No, it just moves to the board. Okay. Wetland delineation update. Bob, have you heard any more from Steve George?
Yes, I've had a conversation with Stephen yesterday just to get what the latest is. And right now it's still squarely in the Army Corps of Engineers court. for both the hybrid jurisdictional determination for lots 4 and 5 and for the preliminary jurisdictional determination for the remainder of the property. And when asking George on what, if he had any inclination on timeline, he's kind of falling back to the conversation that he had with John Connell in July, early August, that he expected that we would have this September, October.
I guess it's been a while.
Of this year?
Well, I guess I made an assumption this year, yes.
That's what I
I'll leave it at
remember.
that, I guess.
Now, I heard from another source that John is retiring this year.
I have not heard that, but I've heard him threatening to do that for a while now.
Yeah, okay. Some builder I was talking to told me about it, so we'll see. I hope he has it cleaned up before he leaves.
Right.
'Cause
I
Then
would.
we probably have
so.
to start at the beginning.
I do know, just one brief note, go back to your new leaf for a little bit. I know very little about it, other than the fact in looking at the correspondence from Stephen, he mentioned or he suggested some coordination as far as permitting that might be necessary on that aspect.
Correct.
Would do.
Correct. They sent us an update. We're still waiting for the updated. And we'll make sure you get a copy of that so you can review it. And
Okay.
so the permitting, I know is a process, but we're talking about, well, there's a long time for him to get his approvals and get ready and get his construction going. So I think he says it's about 1.5 years to get to finish construction.
Okay.
Okay. So we're just in the dancing stage.
Right. Understood.
Anything
Yeah,
else
and
on the,
I just want to point out, he asked for an option for 540 days as part of the LOI, recognizing that there's permitting work ahead. So as Dave said, this is the very beginning.
Understood.
good.
Dave, before we leave the industrial park, do we want to talk about the merging of lots?
Yep. So we've taken a lot of look based on the delineation of the lots and where the wetlands are and aren't. When going through that and walking the property and seeing what's available and not available to get to and access, we're proposing lots 33 and 34, which are immediately behind Roselle, merge those to that wetland mitigation area, create one big lot. Purpose is to reduce the special district taxes on it. Lots 30 and 31, there's an area on 30 and 31 that you can't access, and the land acreage to be used is behind that. So those are just on the bend across from Equistock. So we're proposing merging lots 30 and 31. Lots 27 and 28 both contain a lot of wetlands. We're proposing merging those. Lots 25 and 26 are actually usable properties, but and plenty of uplands in there. Because of the configuration and to get at real access to lot 25, the road would have to go around the bend, and I can't see anyone doing that if they wanted to improve that. So we're proposing merging those two. 21, 22, 23, 24, and what is known as, or marked as IDA, which was a right of way, which is basically mostly wetlands. But those properties are what we call forever wild. Again, proposing merging those because part of our agreement with NCOS, or not NCOS, ACOS, was to mark those as forever wild. And then the last one was merging 17 and 18. Both of those have a lot of upland areas, but we thought it'd be better moved to merge together. So that was a proposal. Chuck, you got anything to fill in on that?
No, well, I'll just add that one lot, the combination 21, 22, 23, 24, and IDA, poses a nice sized lot for perhaps additional solar activity. More to come on that, particularly given the fact that that lot also has wetlands. So I think what Dave is proposing, frankly, makes a lot of sense for us and us marketing the overall industrial park. So hopefully we'll have smooth sailing with these meters.
I have a question.
Brian,
Could the rest of us have I can hear you talking, but I can't see it. Could we redo the map with what you just said and get it to us by the next meeting so that we know what you're talking about? We know how many lots are left to sell. We know how many. Here's one I don't know anymore, and that is how many are still privately owned and they're not doing anything with. Just give us an update as to what that park looks like now so that we can look at it.
0
Please.
properties are privately owned and not being used.
Yeah. I can think of one.
Which one?
There's one owned by Montesi, as far as I know.
Not in phase 2.
Not in phase 2, no.
Not in phase 2. We have no jurisdiction in phase 1.
How about, well, okay, I'll double check.
Well, I can tell you that the problem with lot 1 and some of the issues over there was because there's no deed restrictions, and Kara can remind me if I'm wrong, but when we sold the lots, we don't have any jurisdiction or control over that. Is that correct, Kara?
In phase 1, there's covenants in phase 1. They're just, it's my understanding, they just are different language. It's my understanding, and I'd have to probably ask Bob Morris to remind me of this, but it's my understanding when the lots were sold in phase 1, there was no, the board at that time was okay with selling them on speculation, as opposed to now where you ask to see what the project is.
Could we get our act together so that we all know what we're talking about? Please.
Okay.
Thank you.
And Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
For the-
Craig.
for the combining of these lots, it's a simple thing. Then going to the town, asking to merge lots, or, file them with real property so they show up as one lot. Is that correct? And then if they're in an industrial area, that doesn't impede the development rights on it. You can still, it'll go side by side. It's not like residential units where you'd be giving up a building right. Is that correct?
Kara?
She's froze
Oh,
or deep in concentration. That's okay.
You're back.
Hey, you're back.
she's adding up her winnings from Saratoga.
Yeah, that was a quick ad.
Ask the question again.
Craig, go ahead and ask the
Yeah.
question again.
So the process for merging these lots is fairly straightforward, isn't it? And also, if we do merge lots, we're not giving up any development rights. Is that correct?
No, I mean, if we merge the lots, I don't know what position the county will take if for whatever reason we have a developer that wants to reconfigure them. So like in a traditional situation, if I have 2 lots and I merge them, I need to now ask for a subdivision to have them changed after the fact. I'm not sure what the county's position would be or the town's position would be if a developer came in later and said, I don't necessarily want this lot like this. I mean, I don't know if the board cares about that potential situation.
Well, you're going to touch base with Laura Chadwick anyways.
I talked to her, I talked to her yesterday and she told me to call the mapper in her office, but I didn't get a chance to call him yesterday. Bill Lepin, she told me to give him a call. So I'll
Okay.
find an answer to that question as well. But typically, once it's merged, then it has to be subdivided in order to modify the property again.
Hey, let me just offer, I think that we can, David and I will come back with the before and after map. And when you see the after map, you'll see the logic behind some of these combinations. And it's really associated with the wetlands. There are some lots that have wetlands that are shaped in a weird formation, which only allows a small portion of a lot to be developed, whereas the lot next to it, if you combine it, then you have something that's more developable. So I think when we come forth with the updated map and the before and after, things will be understood a little bit better. Do you agree, Dave?
Yeah, I do. I mean, we've passed all the delineation maps out, and that's what we're working on.
Right.
Hold on a second. I may be able to answer some questions really quickly in this. All right, I'm going to share my screen if I can remember how.
I see a basketball
Okay.
game.
Can you see that?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, basically, I'm going to move this over. If you look at the wetland areas here, you notice this is mitigation area that hasn't changed. If you look at 34 and 33, that's almost entirely wetlands. The other issue is there is a drainage culvert that goes all the way down through there and over there. So basically on those lots, the developable acreage.
Oh,
We lost it, Dave. Oh, we lost Dave.
We lost Dave.
hey,
Good meeting.
Here, he's next door. Let me see how he's doing.
he quit.
Still talking.
Oh, dear.
I thought you had a question there, Nick. I wanted to clarify the
Okay.
total number of lots that were available were going to become how many number of lots? That's where I was headed, which was all
Yeah.
the same.
Yeah,
You were-
yeah,
And
yeah.
and what is forever wild means we can't have solar on it, I take it, because that wouldn't be too wild. So no, I think, and as far as him putting it up on the map, we need something physically we can see at the next meeting. So what he's doing right now isn't all bad. It just doesn't help. We needed time to look at it and sink in before the meeting.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we should do a before and after.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dave has the right idea. We just can't do it all today on his map on the screen, especially when he's
Yeah.
having.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh, can
oh,
you see the screen now?
yeah, I can see a basketball game. Now I can see it.
It's back. So Dave, while we were waiting for you to come back on, there was a suggestion to perhaps us put together a before and after map so they can have time to look at the map and have a better understanding.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I just want to go over the basics so you understand what it is. 32 is there, 31 and 30 and 31. You'll see that there's a couple potential access points. But if you go out there and around, if we get permission from Army Corps to fill this area here.
What area where? I don't see where you're pointing to or.
I don't either.
30 and 31, you see the gray area, which is delineation?
Yeah.
That's wetlands.
Okay.
You see that there is a bridge, there's a continuous cycle from 32 over to 30.
Right.
And all the wetlands on 30. We've got to get permission from Army Corps engineer to fill this and this, which is part of why we went to.
What's this
Yeah,
and
we're
this?
not seeing your pointer, Dave.
Okay,
The
forget.
two little
It's-
neck areas on lot 31 and 30. Those are the areas we're proposing for a future access point to
Okay.
the north side.
Okay.
Correct. So it only makes sense to combine 30 and 31. And then 29 and 28, you can see the wetland area. 29
Right.
is almost all there.
It's all
28.
wetlands.
Pardon?
It's all
29 and
wetlands on
28 are
29.
predominantly wetlands.
Right. So we're proposing combining lots 27 and 28 to combine that
Makes
and
sense.
get it more, make more usable area.
Yes,
25 and 26, you can see that's all uplands with a small spike of wetlands coming down through it.
Right.
And then this whole back area from, it goes all the way around and up to the area by the dotted line across from 25 is that would be all, that's all to be forever wild. And like you said, there's potential solar area there, but you know, if we're paying special district tax per lot, let's cut that down. Then 2019 and 20, you can see the wetlands on the back, but combining those two lots would give a productive area there. And if someone wanted to come in, they could get a road into there to access the rest of it. Then 17 and 78, all uplands, combine those two. That gets us about 3.85 acres together. So it might be a little more enticing to people. 16, leave it as is. So basically that's an overview of what we're talking about. But you see all the wetlands? I mean, this map has been sent out. This map has been shared with everyone for almost 2 years now. Because that's when this was done, but that's the delineation of the wetlands.
Just
That's
click
good.
proposal, Dave, and send it out and we can all see it beforehand. We'll be good.
Yeah, yeah,
thank you.
okay.
Mr. Chairman, one observation, if you don't mind.
I do not mind.
On the potential for the merger of 21, 22, 23, 24, and the IDA lot, included in that is part of what would have been a future right-of-way for the extension of the road. If
Mhm.
that gets included into that overall larger lot, that would require a lot line adjustment, I would believe, through the town of Kingsbury.
Okay.
The rest of it, I tend to agree, could probably be done through real property tax.
Mhm. Okay. Good. Any other input from the engineers?
Bob, just to clarify, are you saying that that road will go off the site or just the extension of the existing road?
I'm referring to the extension of the existing road that goes up that would be parallel 21, 22, 23,
Right.
et cetera.
Okay. Duly noted. Thank you.
Okay. Now if I get back to Zoom. Oh, I didn't lose you this time. Okay. So that's just an overview. We'll get more information out, but I just want to make sure it was on people's radar and understand that. And Karen needs to get some additional information, so we'll have a better proposal. But we're paying like $14,000 a year in special district taxes. And if we cut that down, it'd be a good thing, since some of those lots we can never sell. Okay, canal side. Dan Bruno?
Yeah, I have nothing on there. I haven't talked to Paul Guillet lately. I'll give him a call, but I don't have anything on the infrastructure.
Oh, remember, we have a meeting on the 14th.
Yep.
So, and I
And
think Beth's on there talking about the HUD NEPA we need for the congressional member items.
Where is she?
She's on the phone in the next room. She's having a conference with LaBelle about that. It's NEPA.
Mhm.
It's what's required for the seeker for the HUD grants that we're getting through the congressional, the $950,000.
Right.
So that we have to have completed by December to get our application in.
Doing that.
Pardon?
She's pursuing that.
Yep. Yep. That's what we authorized the last meeting to go ahead with. It's like $8,500, which is covered by the grant.
Yeah.
Okay.
The, go ahead.
So, anything else on that, Dan?
No, Dave.
The second was potential leases. You want to fill in your discussion this morning without naming names?
Yeah. Chuck, you want to do that? You probably.
Sure. So without mentioning names, we met with a large company out of Quebec that is interested in movement of pulp into our area and logs out of our area. There was also a representative of a local paper company. There was also a representative of a local rail company. The company is interested in leasing a portion of the land. The duration would be several years. This is sort of an exploratory meeting. One person had been to the site before, so was well versed. The owner of the company was with the group, so they're obviously very serious. They are in the process of figuring out some details with rail movement, and if those details work out favorably, it seems as if they would be interested in a lease arrangement this year for logging activity that typically is higher level of activity during the winter. So more to come, but if everything works out with the rail folks, they're looking to move fairly quickly.
Yeah, and they're looking at 2 to 3 acres.
They are.
A 5-year lease potentially.
Yeah. Yep. That's correct. Yeah, I was just avoiding some details, but yes, that's correct.
Well, they're going to come out, and they should.
Yep. Understood. More to come to it. They'll be getting back to us fairly soon with some specifics and be looking for an offering on what the lease arrangement will look like.
The logs on one end and pulp on the other end. Is that the idea?
Yeah. It's two-way. It's quite intriguing.
That's good.
Yeah, it is good. It is good.
Except for one thing, Chuck. I read a lot politically. It's my hobby, I guess. There seems to be some rubbing between the politicians in Canada and here. How will that affect anything we do? Or do we know?
It's a great question, a question we'll need to ask the company as this unfolds.
Yeah.
They also explained that the market is shifting as far as where for the logs and the need up in Canada for some wood. Apparently our area has some very good wood for their needs.
Right.
So this is obviously an import and export opportunity.
Yep.
But more to come. Good question. We'll figure it out when we learn more about
Thank you.
the company.
Right, they take the logs and they sort as to what their needs are, which are a higher grade, and what the species that they don't need is what they sell to the paper companies. So they sort it there and then distribute it to themselves and to paper companies.
When you say paper companies, you're talking about any paper companies and not newspaper companies alone, right?
Right.
Okay.
The only thing that they require by way of power is low voltage for office trailer, lights, heating, cooling, that sort of thing.
Price of electricity day for something like that, it may be cheaper to run a generator. If some of the future prognosis on electrical costs is, I mean, they're talking about 30 cents a kilowatt in some areas.
Ooh.
Look at what you're saying right now.
Yeah.
Because it's tied to the price of natural gas.
And we know who doesn't like natural gas.
Well, actually, it's pegging the price of natural gas in Europe.
Yeah.
Would the leasing for this logging operation be compatible with the
Excuse me.
I want to say CDHP, whatever the
CHPE?
The
Thank
CHPE, the area that they indicated is different from CHPE, but this is one of the things that we'll need to clarify is laying out the map and just making sure not only in conjunction with CHPE, but also in conjunction with the neighboring buildings and making sure that if we have prospects for those buildings, that the company's interest in those buildings would have space nearby. So this is part of us getting specific information back from them as far as not only the size of 2 to 3 acres, but also the specific location. But what he pointed out today, on a preliminary basis, seems like we're going to be okay. More to learn on that when we get the map.
Right.
Okay. Potential leases after 3.5 months. We are finally should be getting access from East Street into the site. The one condition is that within a year, if you look at whoever's been down there, is that East Street gate goes right back into the wharf area.
Right.
There is another gate before that, or just after that, it goes into the wharf area. What they're asking us to do is to move that fence from one side of the road to the other side of the road so we can block off so the traffic can't get there. If the so no one coming in through East Street Gate can get into the wharf area.
Right.
So we have a year to complete that. I think that's a fair enough swap. Just picking up the chain link fence, moving it 70 feet, and putting the gate in. So we'll figure out a way to get that done. But that was the condition of doing that, and I think that's a fair enough thing. I had thought about that before, but I just didn't want to raise it. But they figured it out anyway, so we'll see.
Whose condition,
Second one,
Dave?
pardon?
Whose condition is that?
Well, Canal Corp owns all that land, so I guess that'd have to be Canal Corp.
So Canal Corp wants to do that or doesn't want to do that?
Doesn't want to do what?
They want us to do it.
Who's
They want
behind
us to do it.
Canal Corp wants us to do it? I was trying to figure out who the players were.
Just to keep that wharf area isolated and secure, so to speak.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep. I just wondered who it was. Very good.
Okay. Second thing is CHPE. I just got an email from them this morning. I went back to a counteroffer for them. We were going at 1,200. I went back to them for 1,700, a couple other conditions. So it looks like they are going to come really close to our area, and they want to get the lease completed within the next few months. But this is one of the ones we're going to have to do a 3-month lease plus an extension. So I've already ordered the appraisals on it we need. So we should have those pretty soon. Okay. Any questions on that? I think I also sent on, as long as we're on CHPE, they also sent out a thing, which I think I sent to everyone, was they do have their financing in place. That was announced in the trade magazine last Tuesday, to the tune of some $5 billion. So their financing is covered. They're still targeting to try and start in November, which is when they're going to need the lay down areas. So that's update on that. Any other questions on that? Okay. Michael?
Good morning, everybody. I don't have any updates in regards to either of the parks. Just been trying to support Chuck to bring him up to speed onto the status of various projects and anything else he needs. And that's all I have for right now.
Okay. Chuck?
Okay, well, this is day 7. I'm in learning and listening mode. Special thanks to Allie and Michael. They've been very helpful. Allie and I sat down and she walked me through a lot of the administrative processes and understanding the workings of the office. And Michael and I have met and went through his very detailed contact list and understanding not only the contacts, but the status of some prospects. And he and I are working together this month to reach out to the prospects that are still warm and to see if we can further advance those prospects. I'm also working, I'll say, from the inside out. So now I sent an email on Friday to the board members to have one-on-one meetings to get some feedback and suggestions. Then I'm also going to start working out with economic development professionals and organizations in the area. Today, Dave and I are at the Champlain Lake George Regional Planning Office, and we'll be meeting with Beth and her staff after this meeting. And then, of course, we'll be meeting elected officials and then business leaders. So the process has started. There's a lot to go here. I will say that I also took a deep dive into the IDA policy and procedures manual. And as a fresh set of eyes, I've identified some opportunities for us to update the policy and procedures manual. So I'll be working with Dave and Kara and others for some suggested updates for the policy. And also point out, we're going to talk about CVE in a moment, but I will point out that the New York State in general is seeing much more activity in the solar world, and talking with other IDAs and getting information. Thank you from Kara about what IDA activity is. Some IDAs are setting up solar policies, and we've been looking at a few of those policies, and perhaps it would make sense for our board to consider establishing a solar policy. So Dave and Kara and I and Michael will be working on drafting a proposed solar policy. As far as what's going on in our area, we know about New Leaf. We, of course, are going to talk about CVE momentarily. And we've also heard from a company called Norbut Solar, who's interested in a project in Hebron. And we'll probably get a few other inquiries, given now with what's happened on a federal level, with the passing of legislation that is now promoting more renewable energy. So more to come on that. And that is it for me, unless there are any questions.
Any questions for Chuck? I'm glad he's got a little bit of background in solar. And he's got engineering background, helps me understand some of this stuff. So good for that. He's got a good contact he's got a good contact, Greg Snively.
Greg Shrively, in my former career, we did a solar project, and we were both the landlord, and we also participated in energy credits. And so I think that experience will help us here, and actually gives us some interesting opportunities, and us thinking about what else to do with other parcels in the airport industrial park. So more to come on that. There's work to be done, but I think there's some really interesting opportunity for us.
Okay. The one last item is that we heard from CVE or Carson. He's asked for us to re-review his application. And so we will bring it back in front of the board. Just want to let people know that. So we can have the questions open discussion. Because of some of the other questions, we may have to have some executive session to discuss that. I'm sure there's some information that may not want to be in public. Okay. Anyone else have anything good for the good of the community?
Not I.
Okay, good. Thank you all. Talk to you later.
Be well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Adjourned.
Bye, guys.
Everyone.
Yeah, bye.